So good afternoon. I am Anto Budiarjo. Welcome to Monday Live. This is something that we do every Monday at 3 p.m. to figure out the future for buildings, for smart buildings. We are listed, the panelists as it were, we are listed on mondaylive.org, just in case you wonder who we are. And just important note that the views expressed here are personal, not of any company or organization. And let's have a really interactive session here today, and with comments and Zoom chat and other things. If you want anything that's on the slide deck, it's posted on Monday Live. Just head over there. It's actually on the homepage of mondaylive.org. So this being December of 22, our theme this month is wrapping up the year. So last week we had a really interesting show talking about what happened in 2020 in the past year. And as we the agenda for today is, after our normal chit chat, we're going to be focused on looking to next year, looking to 2023 to see what that has for us potentially. So maybe making some predictions and other things. Before I hand it over to Ken, as normal, just some programming notes. This is the last show of 2022, last show of the year. We're going to be dark for the rest of December. We're going to take a break. And so we will be back on January the 2nd, Monday, that is 23. And the January theme will be preparing for the Smartest Summit at AHR. That's a summit that I mentioned, well, we actually talked about last week a bit. We're doing on the Sunday at AHR. We're going to be spending January talking about preparing for that. So other than that, we're done for the year. So happy holidays to everybody, and be safe and everything else. The Smartest Summit, just as a reminder, is on the Sunday, February 5th at 3 p.m. And Cabas come on board to support this, so that's great. Really interested to see what the new Caba is going to sort of emerge to be. Looking forward to that. So, and now over to you, Ken. What's going on then? On automated buildings.
Best of the season to everyone, and yours. That was great, a great post. And also thanks, it's been a great introduction to my slide here, because we're hard at putting faces on the program for AHR. We've kind of had our titles set out, and we've ear tagged companies and stuff, but we actually haven't identified the people that'll be speaking. And we're starting to do that now, starting to get the headshots on, starting to get links so you can quickly find out who these folks are. I'm really pleased with it. It's becoming a real resource in itself, just the document, even if you don't go to the sessions, just understanding the people in our industry and how they're presenting. So yes, and we also, the Smarter Summit, we're pleased to be promoting that and be part of that. And a lot of the speakers are also involved in that event as well. So it'll be a good introduction. It's going to give them a chance to lead people into our sessions and let them know what they might see when they come out. So yeah, we're excited. We're busy trying to pull all that together. And of course, the festive season is falling on us, and everyone is wanting to slow down and go away. And we're trying to poke them with sticks to try and get this out before they leave. So when they're sitting there and the relations become too much, they can go and read Automated Buildings. Anyway, back to you, Anto.
Thank you, Ken. John, what's going on?
Hey, two stories I thought were interesting. One gets at the complexity of the world buildings exist in and that we live in. Could insurers kill renewables? And it talks about the insurance complexities of a lot of these investments, and how different, weather disasters, et cetera, have cost insurers huge amounts of money because it, damaged or destroyed installations for solar, et cetera. And, what I thought was interesting is, I didn't think of that, myself about, that's yet another complexity headwind about doing a lot of the things we want to do to make the building stock more sustainable. So interesting perspective there. I think it's worth taking a look at. And the other one was, I probably highly recommend try to read the first page of it. It gets at one of the subjects we've talked about, which is the financial incentives work against a lot of the things we want to do to improve the building stock, to save energy, to be more sustainable. The accounting methods, the way investments, how the investment logic and regulations and financial calculations work, that they work against a lot of the things that virtually everybody agrees we should do. But if you don't have the financial incentives in place, you're not going to get there. So I thought those were both worth 5 minutes of everybody's time.
They both speak to the change, the massive change, so that this really is going to.
That we hope really is going to.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, great. Thank you, John.
Yep.
Mark.
So sort of along these lines is this. There was a new survey or results of a survey released on December 7th, and it was by Reuters and Honeywell. And I thought I would just share with people some of the results. They interviewed large multinational, multi-site property owners, of which 87% said they're reaching carbon neutrality with their products, that reaching carbon neutrality ranks very high on what they've set out to do. 90% expect to achieve carbon neutrality across their portfolios by 2050. 62% expect to reach the goal by 2035, which I thought was kind of adventurous to come out with that. And which was also interesting is 8% don't foresee carbon neutrality is ever becoming a reality at their organizations. Yeah, that is a low percentage compared, but that was a little bit higher than what I would have expected, during our conversations on Monday Live, and obviously in my business and stuff like that. From a business benefits, complying with external regulations and investor demands was number one. Increasing productivity and realizing cost reductions was 2. And as a marketing person, love this one, improve brand image, which I think we've been discussing, that has been one of the drivers, is the PR factor, the brand image for sustainability, for ESG, whatever. And rounding out this was their concerns or barriers. Cost, of course, I think, that's normal. Measuring sustainability and the lack of expertise. To your point, John, how are you going to measure it? And people are going to be consistent. And there's all that talk. We've all heard about that. And since this is a sort of a new area, what are, who are the experts in this? Who can they hire? Who can they contract with to help them with this, as far as being able to communicate the right information out, and then gaining senior leadership support? So all in all, I thought it confirms a lot of things we've discussed on Monday Live the whole time. So anyway, back to you, Anto.
Where was this published? Sorry, I missed that.
This was, I saw it in a news thing. Sorry, I forgot. I did not. I'll send it to you. You can post it on the post. It was Reuters and Honeywell. It was posted on December 7th. A news release on it.
Okay, that's a credible source. Good, interesting. Okay. Any other thoughts, news items, or anything that anybody has to share with the group before we move on to the topic of the day?
I ran into one that kind of blindsided me. Came across my desk because it was an automation thing, and the concrete folks are burying sensors inside their concrete so they can monitor the temperature as it cures. And they just discovered wireless because it's much easier than stringing wire at the time when you're pouring concrete and stuff. But what dawns on me is this actually becomes a resource as we start to look at using mass and the interaction. So all of these sensors that were buried there for another purpose could in fact be coming to the building automation system. Just something from dropping out of the sky.
It's a very concrete idea, Ken.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Who gets the job of replacing the batteries?
Chip. That's where we get some new chips.
All right. Topic of the month, as I said, wrapping up this year. And we want to talk about next year, 2023. What does it hold for us and what are the predictions? So that's what's on the agenda, but I need to announce a slight departure from this agenda because we're not going to be talking about that at all. Specifically, we're actually only going to be talking about 2023 for one specific individual by the name of John Petze, because I see him smile, thank you, because in case you haven't heard, John has announced his retirement as of the end of December, at the end of this year, which is only a couple of weeks away. And this will be effectively his last public outing, as it were. So we thought we'd spend a few minutes sort of recognizing him and thanking him and maybe embarrass him a little bit by the looks of it. We're already there.
Mission accomplished.
Surprise, huh?
You're blushing, John. You're blushing. We can see
A
it.
setup. Well, as long as I don't start crying, I'll be okay, huh?
Oh, then you're screwed.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So
No, this is great, and I'm going to share something just to kick off this this conversation and this hour of celebration. Roll the tape, as
All
they
right,
say.
so hi, Mark Peacock here. I've known John Petze almost I don't want to say my entire adult life, but it seems like that.
Hey John, so it's your farewell video. Just want to say it's been a great journey getting shit done with you for the last decade or two.
John has been a great mentor, and I have learned a lot from him throughout the years.
I first ran into John in the late 1980s when he was with Teletrol, and we had a couple of
By the way, I'm not
some
seeing
meetings at
anything.
shows,
No.
and then one-to-one.
You're not seeing
John
anything?
and I,
No.
No video.
go quite
No
some
video?
time
Okay,
back.
I'm gonna
We've got
try
a
it
long
again.
history. John and
yeah, I want
have-
to see. I got to see these people. Wow, I can't.
All right, I'm going to try that again. Sorry, technical
Goodness.
problems.
I can't believe you guys did this.
So if I do that, and
Mark Peacock here.
Ah.
I've known John
Yeah, better?
Petze
okay,
almost
It's not moving, but
I
it's
don't wanna say
showing.
my entire adult life, but it seems like that.
is it not
Hey,
moving?
John,
Yeah, it's
so
not moving.
it's your
Frozen on
farewell
my end.
video. Just want to say it's been a
All right.
We're technology guys, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, great high tech company.
This is a microcosm of John's career.
It sort of works.
We need
John to fix it, probably.
It's turning into a
Right.
roast, eh?
There you go.
How about
great
this?
journey getting
Yeah.
shit done with
Right.
you for the last decade or two.
John has been a great mentor, and I have learned a lot from him throughout the years.
I first ran into John in the late 1980s when he was with Teletrol, and we had a couple of some meetings at shows, and then one-to-one.
John and I, we go quite some time back, and we've got a long history. John and I actually first started off as competitors.
As a leader, you led with, as far as I'm concerned, Tritium. You've led Project Haystack along with Brian, and the combination thereof is unbelievable. And then we start to bring in Sky Foundry, where you're retiring from today. So as I see it, there's been three significant leadership areas that I will remember: Tritium, Project Haystack, and Sky Foundry.
John is just is very he's very good at explaining things. He gets he understands the audience, and he understands the what he needs to communicate to be received by the audience, and he sort of translates that technology or engineering perspective into something that's very understandable, and he's always like that.
Throughout the years, I have learned a lot as far as how progressive, open-minded you can be, and how to basically form relationship with customers. He has a deep impact. I'm sure not only me, but other people within the industry as well.
His ability to understand, it's one thing to build a technological product that has a lot of great features, but to be able to put that into the hands of the people who actually were required to deploy and install it. I was always very impressed with what he was able to do with Andover. And of course, I tried to emulate a lot of that with what we were doing in the CSI days.
John's most significant leadership achievement, I believe, is Project Haystack. I think it's a great movement for the industry, and will provide a lot of value to the analytics business and building automation for many years to come.
So I've been asked to say anything I want about John Petze. I haven't known John as long as many others, but John has made an impact on me in the following way. John Petze has been my model and mentor, unbeknownst to him. He brings a certain energy to every interaction. He's a man who believes in relationships, and you grow a brand through relationships and partnership.
I think the point I'm going to wish to bring to the party about John is that he's a successful serial entrepreneur, and he's led at least two significant perpetuating changes in this industry. There are things which he's been involved with and he's led, which have clearly changed the way this industry works in the world.
John has this effect on everyone. He has such a great influence on guiding and mentoring and guiding folks into into the sort of stuff that we do. He shares everything that he knows without any reservation, and I think that's specifically noteworthy from my perspective. He's not a typical engineer who tries to control information. He's very sharing, and as a result makes a significant impact on everyone he touches with that regard.
I think it's part of this sort of presence of his on stage, and he understands the problems, and he, as a strategist, he sort of understands the big picture, and is really good at sort of understanding complex problems and introducing it into the market. That's really how he shines as a leader.
That's a little bit of John. He's clearly authoritative. He's got great drive. He's got great enthusiasm and great vision in those things.
Frankly, for the last 3 or 4 years, in many ways, I've modeled my behavior, my business behavior, even my business ethics on how John has done, how I've watched him do it. So John, thanks a ton for being a mentor to me, friend, and an unbeknownst mentor to Bill. So very special. So anything that I do in the future, on some level, you can take credit for. That's what I want to say about John.
John, as a first generation Turkish American in the US, I cannot thank you more enough giving me the opportunity to prove myself within the industry. There's no other words that I can say other than thank you so much. So I will definitely miss him, and I wish him well.
Although I've been a competitor of John for most of my career, absolutely respect the way he's gone about his businesses and his interaction with others. And he's a very high-class act to follow. We'll sincerely miss John in this industry.
I am sorely going to miss John. I think we've spent many years together. He tells me he's not going to be a part of the industry, and I just can't. At this point in time, I can't possibly fathom the vacuum that he's going to leave as a result. Just to be able to call him up and talk to him about what's happening in the space, or opportunities, or people, or market direction, or technology direction. Is going to be a large gap that's going to leave. He's going to leave some very big shoes to fill, and I'm going to miss him terribly. And I wish him well.
You've been a great business partner, mentor, and friend. Definitely going to miss all of our weekly lunches where we try to figure stuff out, what we're going to work on next. And I wish you well in the next chapter of your life.
I've really enjoyed our time together, both professionally and personally. You've been an inspiration, a mentor to me as well, and wish you the very best in what you decide to do and going forward. Enjoy, buddy. Thanks.
So there you go, John.
Woohoo!
Thank you from all of us. I have just brought on Melissa Boutwell. Melissa and her team at ASP put together that video, so I thought I'd give her an opportunity to just make a comment, and then we can move on. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Hey guys. Well, John, I just want to tell you, thank you for the thousands of hours that you listened more than you spoke, and the hundreds of people that you helped at conventions and events that asked you the same questions over and over and over again, like me. And I just sincerely appreciate it. As a parting gift, you saw Victoria's article on your perspective on leadership and talent development. And this obviously with your Monday Live friends, but we also are going to continue the work that you and I've already talked about, your technical leadership legacy and what you want to plant in the next generation. And Duncan already has some things started on that and plans to work with you over the next couple of weeks before you part to finish it. And after you've had a humongous vacation, maybe you'll rethink that perfectly clean-cut retirement and come back and teach a couple of classes, or be an advisor in some way, because we deeply appreciate you, John. And as busy and important as you are, you're one of the fastest to return a phone call or email I've ever known.
Thank you, Melissa. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table on the panelists here and give us each an opportunity to say some additional thing to John or about John, to embarrass him. I think we're doing pretty good. So Anna, do you want to start? You're at the top of my screen.
Yeah, sure. Actually, well, for everyone that's here knows, I'm in full denial so far, John. I don't believe you're going to leave. I think you're going to surface back as you're going to be go from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White as a comeback, and you'll surprise us all. But having said that, I do wish you really well, John. It's been a great. We've spent a long time together, and I've enjoyed every moment.
Yeah, but hey, it's been great working with you. Anno had tremendous influence on my life too. The first time I had this little flip phone and we were working together at Constellation Energy, and he brought in this very strange piece of glass that he was using called an iPhone, and showed me how I really shouldn't be using this little flip phone. I should use this amazing little piece of glass. And the second thing he did was we were running from rooms to rooms to have meetings and stuff, and I had a Windows XP machine, and of course every time you close the hood you had to reboot the machine and hold the meeting up for 7 minutes while your computer came back up so you could take any notes. And I said, you really ought to use one of these computers. And he opens and closes it and it's still running. And it's like, wow. And he converted me to be an Apple user. And when I took the job at Cisco, they gave you a choice what you wanted. under one condition, because they had no tech support for Apple machines. So you had to attest that you were an experienced Apple user if you were going to get an Apple at that day. Right? And I said, oh, yeah. Now, I'd never worked on one, but I knew I could chase Anno down because I wasn't going back. I don't even know if you know that. That changed things because it picked up like 7 minutes, every hour of you not having to reboot my machine back in the day. So
it was a blast, John.
Yeah, it definitely has been a blast. We did some really cool pioneering stuff back there. Back there too when we were working together. So that was pretty pioneering stuff,
Cool. Mark?
So again, buddy, congratulations. You're on a extremely prestigious career. You truly have been a major influence and played a significant role in helping set the foundation and really transform our business, meaning the industry business. We're grateful for all that you've done, and you'll be missed, but you will not be forgotten. And then I want to leave this for you, as when you're out there and people said, oh, nice to meet you, John. What do you do for a living? And you say, oh, well, I'm retired. Say it with gusto and everything else, because I think that is important. And lastly, I'm very envious of you in that you have the best 5 words anybody can have and say, which are, it's not my problem anymore. So again, congrats, buddy. Congrats.
Very cool. Thanks, Mark. It's been a pleasure. We did some cool stuff, and with the moving Haystack forward in the recognition, this guy had an equal role too. So the effort, the collaboration. I think that's one of the great things about our industry. Certainly competitors, but even Atta, what you brought together with this group. A bunch of us compete with each other, but we're pretty happy to share, which goes back to, thing I said before, which is that is not the problem. The problem is how do we grow this pie, this industry, and get more people to move forward. As I said before, and Jim, we won't get to, but if you ever saw me and Jim Lee in a fight, then the industry's made it. We're fighting over customers, right? I don't think that's going to happen. Or maybe
not in the next 3 weeks anyway.
No, I don't. I hope it. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be on our walkers doing it someday, Jim. So.
All right. So moving on, and just as sort of once we actually get through all of the panelists here on Monday Live, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to anybody in the audience that wants to say something. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to put up your hand, your virtual hand on the Zoom chat, if you want to be brought on and say something, and then we'll get round to you once we're done with the panelists. But now over to Ken.
Thanks, Anto. Yes, John, you and I have a long history, and when we started Automated Buildings, you of course were still with Andover, and yeah. You were a great newsmaker. You were always kind of newsmaker of the year, or certainly the every 2 years. But that being said, the most significant event that I wanted to highlight was it was actually at Connectivity Week. Anto and I were working together. We were trying to pull together that thing. We had a thing called Young Energy, and we brought some people into the industry. And one of the young energy people we brought into the industry, of course, was Alper. And Alper had to, I can't remember, he had to do something that was painful to get to the event. And he arrived late. And the two of you sitting at a card table for about a couple of hours, staring into a laptop. So the leader in the industry and the newest guy in the room having a great conversation. And I think that pretty much describes what you've done to the industry. Is you've welcomed us all, your communication. And I've just posted he also is a drummer. He's the drummer of the industry in the interoperability blues band. He all kept us in beat, but he kept on that drumming position all through his industry life. and just a leader. But if you take a look at this post, I've just actually posted it and put it on chat. It's online now. You can just see the significant things he's done. He starts off by saying Ethernet's going to be a big thing, and it just kind of takes off from there. And he takes it a long ways. He's always sort of into the next technology. He's got it all up in his head, and he sees how it's going to play out. I don't know how we're going to move forward without him. Thank you very much for all you've done for the industry and me.
Yeah, Ken, no, thank you, for being bringing the industry together with the magazine you created. It never had a place to share the stories and the information, and what you did with automated buildings was a massive change for the industry, and it's been great working with you. And you push us all to put that information out there, though. If it wasn't Ken pushing like, hey, John, do you have something important to say next month? It'd be easy to forget, and not do that. So, you've done a huge amount to get all of this information out there.
Actually, there's one potential problem with the new model is the idea that it's great. You can post your information anytime, but Ken's not there nagging. I found that was the greatest thing I provided for the industry was nagging. So
yeah, well, no, I think there's something important there, Ken, to watch out for. You can still nag, but all you have to do is tell them to go post, right?
Yeah, somehow those robots, those nagging robots, aren't as effective.
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, back to you, Anto.
Yeah, Bill, you're up next in the dock there still.
Thanks, Anto. I love that story, Ken. I'm reminded of a time when I was bringing this little product into this market I'd never even heard of before, building what? And somebody said, man, you ought to call this guy John Petze. I'm like, John who? Had I known who he was, I might have been too afraid to call him.
I doubt it.
I'm reminded most about John is he's just a yes. He's a yes. You call him, it's just some knucklehead calling him on the phone. He's like, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. And what I said in my video about mentoring without mentoring is really something special, and seeing how other people and certain leaders go to market. I certainly like to pick up and benchmark on it. So John, thanks for our 3-4 years knowing each other, not that long, but impactful. So I wish you, John, I really hope you have a lot of nice hobbies and a lot of people to love, man.
Yeah, thanks. It's cool. It's been really great working with you. You brought something valuable that people needed, and that's what we got to do in this industry is just we got to help people collaborate. There's no one product or technology that runs buildings, right? That's the wrong mindset,
Beautiful.
Thank you, Bill. Gina, you're up next.
Thank you. John, so I hope you like the video I sent you. I really thought that said it all. I would also say that, wherever I went in this industry, there was John. And that always let me know I was on the right path because John was there. So I also appreciate that you appreciated my candor in a lot of things. And it was always kind of interesting because, every once in a while you and I could have a really short, quick conversation. And it was wonderful to know that, wow, we were kind of had the same thoughts. That was really nice. You've always, as everyone else has said, you've always been there, day or night, answer any question or help. I don't know what this industry is going to be like without you. It's probably going to be like getting off drugs a little bit, not reach for the phone, not to ask you a question. So I think you're just going to have to bear with us for a little while here. For me, it was always, and you probably never noticed this, but when I do say something, it's usually, this is exactly how I feel. And every time I would say something, I always immediately, my eyes went to John Petze, because I could see, is there a telltale, yes, he agrees, or no, he doesn't agree with me. And that's how important your opinion was to me.
Well, thanks. I hope you have a minimal withdrawal symptoms. So
Yeah, I'll try. But at least you're not far away. I can always drive there, so.
yeah, that's right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John. And, you know, enjoy your time, play in your band, fix up your cars, GTOs, just enjoy it. And, you know, this industry, if we start to fail, we'll call you back and pull you back.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Gina. Scott, you're up.
Hey, everybody. You know, John, it's always been a pleasure working with you and picking your brain and hearing your thought leadership. There's two words, though, that come to mind when I hear John Petze. Anytime I hear your name, it's you absolutely are a pioneer in this industry, and that's going to be sorely missed. Your vision, just that pioneering thought of what's next, and then just the impactfulness that you've had in our industry. I mean, you've done so many tremendous things for, you know, the built world, and what you bring to the table and your insights. It's just been tremendously impactful. And, you know, in my career, you've had that impact as well. So I appreciate everything that you've done for the industry, John. It's been a pleasure knowing you, and I wish you much luck and success enjoying your retirement.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks.
Steve, you're up next.
So John, wow.
Wow.
Our relationship.
82, man. 82, 1982.
Yeah, we go all the way back, and you've had, I guess the word is profound impact on my life, not just in this industry. So if you think about the fact that our careers have involved many of the same companies, of course, starting with Andover Controls.
Yeah.
And then when you left, went to Teletrol, I ended up there for a little over a year as well. Mm-hmm. And when I then did my my Tyco Fire and Security gig in Salem, New Hampshire, and finally had to move, officially try to find a place to find employment in the Charlottesville area, I reached out to you in 2004, and you hired me to run sales for Tritium.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pivotal moment in my career for sure. But little did I know that when you decided to leave Tritium, that you were going to help promote me into taking over the leadership at Tritium. And that was a huge deal for me. I really enjoyed greatly the 6 years or so that I led Tritium. And interestingly enough, my whole work now in cyber started because you recommended I contact the guys over at Intelligent Buildings when I hung out my consulting hat.
Yeah.
So pretty much, if you just go through my 40-year career, you're there throughout.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, really, when you think about that.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, he's going into retirement. Wait a second. Does that mean I'm going to be following you into retirement? I don't think so. But
no, it really means you're going to go run Haystack. You're going to go run SkySpark.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just been, I am so appreciative of the positive influence you've had in my life and in my career. And as I said in as well, you know, your leadership is really something special, particularly in how you communicate it. You know, early on when I saw you get up in front of an audience and actually present an idea or whatever the topic happened to be, I was really inspired by just what a great public speaker you are. And I don't think you may not appreciate how effective your voice is in communicating whatever the topic is of the day. But you are remarkable in that regard. And so all the people you've touched without even knowing that you touched them is in large part because of how you do things. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely going to be missed. And all of us are going to be looking forward to welcome you back somehow. So I can tell you that. But thank you so much.
Wow, thanks, Steve. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. So it's February 1982, and I go for an interview at Andover Controls, right? And the only thing I knew about controls was how you connected pneumatic tubing to an actuator on a variable air volume box, because I work for a company who make them, right? And you were already working there. I forget when you started, but a little before me.
81. Yeah.
81. You were in the systems group, right? Under the, in the systems group there. Funny, I'll tell the story here if you guys don't mind, because it's kind of funny. I don't know, Steve, you probably might have heard it. You didn't witness it. But anyways, I go in for this interview, and they take me over to the systems group to be interviewed by the VP, Don Mattis.
Don Mattis, yeah.
Don Mattis, okay, a real engineer. And he sits me down in his office, and he sits behind his desk, and he had a little bit of a unique personality, shall we say. May he rest in peace. And he says, so there's a whiteboard there, get up and write Kirchhoff's law. First question out of his mouth. I don't know, Mr. Kirchhoff, sorry. Okay, right. Okay. And he asked me another question, and which I answered inadequately as well. He asked me one more, and he said, so how would you control a chiller? I said, well, I'd modulate the the control signal in response to the load, And he sits there in silence, and well, did I answer your question? He says, oh yes, very much. You have no idea what you're talking about. That's a quote. That is not exaggerated. That happened. And he says, you can go now. And I got up, and I'm like, and I go back to the main office. I sit in a chair. Bill LaPointe comes out of his office, brings me into his office. He says, well, when can you start? And I'm like, yeah, this is a joke, right? Because this guy just tore me to shreds, and now I'm getting hired. And that's how my career in controls happened in February 1982. Wow. That's how it happened, right? So anyways, but yeah, I guess you and I have known each other the longest of everyone on this call, and working together so many different times. Yeah, pretty interesting, huh?
Pretty interesting.
So it must mean you're getting to be a similar age, unless you
think?
Some trick.
Roger.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I mean, you guys have to recognize that what John brings to the party is not just for the US, it's global. I mean, how do you get things like Haystack and SkySpark and all the other things around the world? And I can remember when I was fortunate enough to take over after Terry Casey at Tritium, and we had our first forum, and I said, hey, John, can you come and talk, do a presentation on the analytics and things like this? I said, I want you to do it on the main stage. He said, do Honeywell and Tritium know about this? I said, we're not going to tell them. I said, you just get up there and do it. And because we'd seen each other a few shows before, and I said, just go up and it'll be fine. Of course, John got up and blew everyone away, talking about stuff that people hadn't even thought about at that time with the analytics. And as I say, he rolls on, and he's just been around Europe and elsewhere with a whole bunch of people here. And it's a global sort of thing that John's been on, and he knows so many people in this industry that are going to miss him. And it's not just, as I say, the US. You have to recognize how far this guy's reach has come today. And that's going to be a big hole to fill. And I think that, as Mark said, Tritium, Haystack, Sky Foundry, they're going to have their work cut out now to actually keep those things rolling without John around. So, John, thank you for the time you spent with me and all those exhibitions. We used to talk and wonder what the hell's going to happen next. I'm sure we always got it wrong, but it was great to actually talk about it. And just bumping each other all over the world. And as I say, you're really going to be missed, not just in the US, but globally.
Thanks so much, Roger. Yeah, it's really been a pleasure working with you. And yeah, that was pretty interesting, to have that opportunity to come over and just talk to people about the emerging field of data and analytics and stuff. Yeah, I really appreciated that. Cool.
Great. Enjoy. Make sure you enjoy.
I hope to.
Thank you, Roger. Jim?
Right. Sorry, I was in transit here, but I've come to a stop for a minute. John, always enjoyed our time together. Remember two specific quotes that I always love of yours. One was with respect to all the crazy venture capital that's piled into this industry and to young startup companies that I think most of the people on this call don't think will survive. And the quote was, "We know too much to lie that much." So I love that one. Second one was in the Cisco days. I was doing a presentation to you, and you said, "Jim, you're letting logic interfere with your business decisions." I like that one too. So, thanks for all the memories, John.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been a pleasure working with you. And, you look around this, I mean, Jim, 10-year advance in understanding that analytics would be important to the industry. And you were wrong then, and you're still wrong now.
Exactly. As I told you, John, I led my troops into Vietnam. So there we go. Still fighting our way out.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Tracy.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, some of you may or may not remember I'm on vacation and been skiing. There's not many people that can get me midday off the slope, but you did it today, John. So I went out this morning.
Where are you? Where are you skiing?
I went to Vail, skied at Vail today, actually.
How are the conditions?
Better than you might expect, actually. And they're expecting another big storm coming through here tonight, tomorrow. So,
Well, thanks for taking
of
some
course, right
time.
when I have to leave, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for a minute there I might get, I've known John the longest award here, but I can't compete with Steve.
No way.
I don't know if you remember the first time we met. It was on trade show floor. And a lot of you might not know, John was an early pioneer of LawnWorks technology back in the day. And actually, one of the reasons that we met, and I can remember that, is I was contemplating starting something with Ingenuity that had to do with LawnWorks. And John had started the first LawnWorks distribution company. Right? It was under another company. I
Yeah,
think.
it was Solutions Direct, but it was called Facility Robotics Solution Direct because it was, under Facility Robotics. Yeah, we were the first one to get an authorized distribution agreement from Echelon in North America.
Yeah, and thankfully you went away and I got to pick it up. So that was good. Thank you. It was nice to have you validating my business model prior to me setting out on that endeavor myself. So
I'm telling you what not to do.
Yeah.
That company didn't make it, but you learn as much from those as you do from things that make it, maybe more.
Always.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, always. We had some good conversations back then. I don't know if you remember some of those.
I do.
Yeah, over the years, we've kind of crossed paths in a number of ways. And another, not too long from that initial meeting, this is when you were at Tritium, brought you together with the Echelon folks, trying to make peace a little bit between Tritium and Echelon back in the day.
Yeah.
So I've managed to rope you into a few things over the years. So I certainly have enjoyed doing that. We worked together a little bit as in my distribution business and was so and it's always nice to have a couple people like I always think of you and Jim. I'll put Jim in this category too, kind of pincushions of the industry, taking the arrows in the back while you lead the rest of us forward here. So
wait, does that mean prickly? Are you referring to prickly?
Prickly is the only way to be, in my opinion. So I've really appreciated all your insight over the years and have kind of always watched from afar the things that you do. And if I'm doing or thinking anything remotely similar, I feel validated. So I appreciate all that leadership over the years and thanks. And if there's one, I was trying, some people had said, different words that describe you. The one thing that comes to mind is constant. You've been a constant in this industry for so long, so you will be missed.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. A few words for me before we move on. I actually had an opportunity to interact with John before I even knew that John Petze existed, because back in the 1988, I think it was, or 89, I was in the UK, and somebody brought me to their office and pointed to an Andover AC something or other, orange or red box, and said, I want you to please connect that to this other box, which is a trend box, trend system, because there was a need for integration. So I was working with your staff, and I think through that process, I think you were in customer support or something, so you must have had interaction indirectly. But anyway, so that was kind of my first interaction with you. I think we first met when you were at Teletrol. I think I visited that.
Yeah, you did. You visited us in Manchester, New Hampshire. And you were doing early stage UI with, I think you were on Windows, right?
Yeah, that's when I was doing the CDC engine, I think.
Yes, right. Yeah, I remember that.
But since then, people have said these sort of traits that are really sort of very John. You're very reliable. I spend quite a lot of time organizing conferences, and you want a specific subject to be, really sort of properly discussed, get John involved, either as a moderator or as a speaker. Always great. So it's always a pleasure working with you, and obviously being part of Monday Live has been absolutely fantastic in the last 3.5 years. So I definitely will very much miss you. And somebody else mentioned something. You're one of the few people in the world that always replies to an email within an hour. Right, and you must have some rules in your mind to do that, but it's very...
No, it's a genetic defect.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play another video, just another surprise.
Can you hold off 1 second? I got to show one thing just to follow this. Hang on.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, you remember this?
Yep, can't see it yet.
Why it won't focus, huh? It doesn't like to
Don't focus.
It's because it's focusing on your face, because you have the...
No.
Put it on your face.
Bummer. All right. Oh, wait, if I come, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Engineering application manual. Oh, yes.
Right on my bookshelf still. Showing you how much nothing has changed.
That's right. Certainly remember that document.
Okay, so I'm going to play another piece of video, and I see some people put up their hands, which is great. Please do put up your hand, and once we get past this video, I'll bring you on, and we can continue the matter with John. So hopefully this video will work properly now.
Wow.
So thank you again, Melissa, for that. I think that's great. Yeah, so I'm going to bring people in one by one from the top. Please do put up your hand if you want to come and speak.
One thing wasn't fair on that, John Petze. You haven't lost any damn hair.
Yeah,
Shame
no
on
kidding.
Well, you don't get to see the back of my head on Zoom. So,
the David Katz.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and keep this to sort of a minute or less.
I'm going to say, John, I left the utility when 30 years ago, and on behalf of CABA, of which I'm an ambassador for the last 30 years, you've made a great contribution. I remember going with you to Syracuse, Dr. whatever his name is, Frank Spitzer, and you called this Australian hotel or something. And I could not believe that you were controlling from Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
And you've come to Canada and New York Line Controls. And, you know, anytime I talk about fault detection, I think of you and you putting the business sense to something like that. So I wish you the best. I wrote either it's golf or teaching, and I'm 75, so I know what it's like. Take care.
Right. All right. It won't be golf. I suck.
Or drumming. I didn't know you were a drummer.
Hey, Rick
Hey,
LeBlanc
Rick.
is
Rick, hey,
in the
man.
house. Mic is yours, Rick. You need to unmute.
Okay. Hey, John.
Hey.
So John and I have been bumping around in the industry for quite a while. I may be as old as Ken Sinclair. I'm not sure. He's as old as dirt. But so we've been bumping around for a while. In the 80s, I tried to buy. So my background, by the way, I'm a private equity guy, but I've been with Siemens and the predecessor companies for 40 years. So Landis and Gear, Powers and whatnot. In the 80s, we went out, we tried to buy Andover. And because they had DDC and very interesting products, but you know, the management was suspect. They had this guy who had been hired there 3 times. You know, why are you going to work for a company or buy a company that's got that kind of management? So the clock goes forward, and a few years later, we're looking at Tritium, who has really an interesting software solution. And guess what? The same guy is there. So how does Tritium hire this 3-time guy from Andover? It's amazing. It's just amazing. So then in the private equity world, we start Alberio Energy, and we're acquiring system integrators, and the system integrators have all kinds of technology, different brands. We're looking for a diagnostics solution. And we come across Sky Foundry, SkySpark, and guess who's there? It seems like every time we went for some industry-leading solution, Petze is there. What's up with this? There might be a coincidence, but there might be a reason why these are interesting in industry-leading companies. Even went to buy Teletrol after you left, John, and talked to Dean Kamen. And so bumper cars, been bumping into Petze all over the place. John, you're a true icon in the industry. Few people have your presence. When you get on a stage and you want to talk about something, everybody gets quiet. They listen. The same is true on Monday Live. You have a way of being very crisp and clear and concise. If Ken Sinclair wins the Nag of the Century Award, you win the Clear, Concise Award. You can say something in such a profound way that the rest of us wish we'd said it. So congratulations, John. Such a wonderful testimony to your career to have this many people chime in and say something nice about you.
Yeah, really.
You're going to miss, unfortunately, Rick, you're going to miss the next hour.
Hey, Rick, thanks so much. You mentioned something funny that some people know at the beginning, but I do hold one record. I'm tied. There's 3 of us who were 3-time repeat offenders at Andover Controls. Neil Parmenter, myself, and Dave Crane. So yeah.
Well,
Dave Craven, yeah.
Craven,
yeah, Dave Craven. We all so tied for the record. So
speaks well of you, John, that they brought. Speaks well of them that they brought you back that many times. Good luck to you.
Thanks. Hey, Jim.
moving on to Jim McGlone, and we're obviously going to go past 4 o'clock, and we're just going to go for as long as people want to chat here. So, Jim, you're muted. You're muted, Jim.
You're muted, Jim.
You are muted.
All right. You and I did not get to work together that much, John.
No.
As a matter of fact, we never worked for the same company at the same time. However, I came from Rockwell Automation to Tritium because this crazy guy named Steve Fay loved my answer to the question, is there really building automation? What is that? I was used to automotive lines, and he's like, you'll do fine. But I have to admit, when I got to Tritium, there probably wasn't, for the first year I was there, I kept hearing about this guy named John Petze. Scott Mensch mentioned him, Mark Peacock mentioned him. Steve didn't mention him too often, but once in a while in a meeting, Steve would say, you know, John wouldn't have done it that way or something like that.
Oh, it wasn't John's fault? That's not the scene?
But it was, and it was quite a learning experience. It's been a pleasure to have known you at least somewhat during my days at Tritium. I since went back into the industrial market, and there are quite a few people on here who are sucking me back into the building automation market, which is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, long story short, John, I announced my retirement at work just a couple weeks ago, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to retire. There's just too much to do. So anyway, I'm envious in some ways, but then again, I know you're going to show up here again, hopefully. Thanks, John. Thanks for everything. It's been a great encouragement.
Thanks.
Ed.
Hey, John, it's all been said, pal. I can tell you. First of all, I'll go with the straight stick stuff. Your intellect is incredible. What people don't also know, I think they do know, you're a great writer. You know, you're just a fantastic writer and communicator. I learned a lot from that. And frankly, the best leader I ever worked with, to be honest with you there. But I will say, the fun we had was incredible, right? I mean, I can think I'm sitting in your old office, by the way, in Richmond. I'm in the corner, and I could reach over to the conference room where many of a session we all had as a team, and the cursing that happened in that room, and the yelling and the screaming. But you know, we got a lot done because when we walked out of that room, we said, hey, let's go to lunch, and we became great friends. So I just can't tell you that really set the standard for what leadership is in this industry, and I really just appreciate it. And I came across the memo. You know, people don't know, when John became president, he totally reorganized the company, and he gave me my chance to lead the system integration channel. So John moved me. I came in as a product manager or marketing manager, and John put me back in something that I've been doing ever since and love to do. So thank you, John. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. I really, that means a lot. You know, but on that comment though, it's pretty funny. So there were a lot of new people with Tritium were growing, and we'd go into that conference room and have Monday staff meetings, and yeah, they were raucous, I guess. And I remember walking out of one of them, going to my office and sitting down, and someone else came in. You know, someone came in and said, "Is everything okay? Is the company going to be okay?" And I was like, well, their office was beside, and they were hearing all this commotion and yelling and people pounding the table. That's just how things work there. And like you said, then we all went to lunch, and I go, well, yeah, why? Well, what was going on? Were you guys fighting each other? No, you don't understand. They were new. They didn't understand. But that was an interesting way that things get hashed out. But yep. Thank you so much for those comments. And I really
no, it's just the passion, John. You have had passion in this industry for years, and a bunch. We all kind of got that passion from you, and frankly, that's what's made us so successful is Tritium, and that's what's made everything you've touched successful. So thanks again. Best of luck.
Okay,
thank you, Ed. Reminder. Put your hand up on Zoom if you want to be on and say something. Up next, we have Fred.
Hey,
Fred Gordy.
Hey, John.
You know, I learned something about you today that I didn't know, and not that I thought I knew everything about you, but I just found out that I kind of owe you my career. And the reason I say that is that you mentioned facility robotics. I came in, I guess, after everything had kind of gone on, but I remember coming over to facility robotics or going to my interview, and I was an IT guy, and I'm kind of an upfront guy, and I said, I don't think you had the right guy, and said, well, these things are being connected to networks. But I've followed you through the years, and I don't think you really understand the level of influence you've had on me through the different companies that I've worked for. You know, I've learned things about analytics that I got to attribute directly to you. And now the journey that I'm on, you know, I have to attribute, had I not been able to be a part of this at the beginning, and you offering silly robotics that opportunity, I don't know, I'd probably still be hammering away at servers. So thank you.
Wow. As you say it now, but I forgot about the connections. Yeah. Thanks, Fred. Thank you. So.
Okay, so bringing on next guest, Nancy Myers.
Nancy.
And again, anybody else, please put your hand up and I'll bring you in.
Nancy, hey.
Hello, John. I don't know if you even realize where I am and what I'm doing now, but this man got me back into the industry. So I actually know Ken. Ken, I don't think we've ever met, but primarily my career, I'm a woman that started in Nova Scotia as a power engineer back in the day, from a community that John actually was very familiar with when we first started talking, and I was surprised that he knew where the eastern shore of Nova Scotia was. And I started off my industry in industrial controls and that, and then went into this with Al Walker, working with the Walker control system back in the day.
Yeah.
And then went on to run 20, I know, Ken, right? 22 healthcare facilities on Vancouver Island, and get into our energy and carbon management. And used to try to do some of these things that John was doing and over on the island behind the scenes. Nobody knew who I was really, and I was fine with that. I get a lot done. And went into work for Fortis, and basically said, I'm going to do energy and carbon management and work on the utility side. And was analyzing some of this analytical software. Everybody was the buzz of analytics. I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. And seen SkySpark and went, I got to go back into it now. And then met John Petze in Vancouver and sat down, and I had not had a conversation like that where I was actually like, but do you guys do this? Have you ever seen anybody do this? He like so knew everything I was talking about. There was just nobody really that I had met at this point, because I've been hidden away on the island doing my thing and my own little integration over there. And this man got me back into it. And now I live in Dallas, Texas. I do, working for ESI, CBR ESI.
Very cool.
Developing new products with SkySpark, and Anno is why I'm here, because I just got introduced to him. And I asked my boss, why have I not met this man before? And he goes, no, I needed you to do stuff where you were. And I knew once they got a hold of you, you'd want to go over there and start working on it. So I was finally excited. And then Anno says, John's retiring. And I'm like, no, he's not allowed to. Like, but I was just about to ask you to come into ESI and actually talk about SkySpark. It was actually on my goals for next year. So you got to see, because I put it down as a goal for next year to get John Petze in, to actually get him as excited about SkySpark, even though they're a super user of it. I have never met anybody that can talk about the industry with such passion and such, you just convince everybody. Like, I get excited when he started talking SkySpark. I get excited and I geek out. Like, I'm a real geek in this industry, but nobody has ever presented SkySpark. And I've tried. I've gone to so many of your sessions. You know that. try to present it like you, but there is just nobody. So, but my question, I have a question for you. What is the first thing you're going to do retired?
I have 3 full weeks of home repairs starting January 2nd.
I can see
That'll
that.
teach you.
True. It's true. So.
Well,
so
if
do-
you're ever
do
gonna
two
go back to
weeks,
Nova
and then
Scotia-
we'll head down to Florida, be in warmer climate for a couple of months, 3 months.
Okay, well, if you ever decide you don't want warmer, maybe in the summertime, and you're heading back to Nova Scotia,
Yeah.
gonna go
yeah.
back to where it all, some of those roots there, you let me know, and I'll
All right.
definitely meet you there.
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks. Very cool.
So
Those-
we got to the end of the hands being up. Again, if anybody wants on, just put up your hand. Otherwise,
Thank you so
open
much
mic.
for doing this. You're really, really, really nice. Hard to describe. So.
John, it's going to be a blast. I know doing what you're going to be doing, man, and I envy you to no end.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will talk before Christmas, but I do need to run.
Yeah, no problem. I'm working till the very last day, so I'm not taking off early. So, anyways, thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate it. It's so very nice.
But you
Thanks.
know what they say, though, those who are retiring
Mhm.
owe everybody drinks at the holiday time. So Brenda, how are we
That's true.
gonna
I
get
heard
this
that one.
there, friend? How, come on.
We'll have to send a virtual drink. So, you guys all take care, and wish you luck to keep this endeavor going next year. So,
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
John.
Take care.
everybody.
Let's wrap this up.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
path you blazed,
Good.
man.
Nice videos, Melissa. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well done.
Yeah.
Thank
Well done,
you.
Melissa.
Great stuff.
There's more to come. We got to spend some time with John so he can put his special imprint in it. But I really want to just call out Tim Vogel's comment where he said, I hope to have half the impact John has had. And that's really the effect that we would love to achieve in our next couple of days and weeks of stuff we do with you and some of these videos.
Yeah.
Your brand of leadership is going to be needed in the next generation.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, so. Thanks, everyone.
Let's
Thanks.
we'll wrap this. And John, just in
Thanks,
case you
John.
want to watch all of this again, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I will. All right.
Do our best to tell the world about it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, John.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Alex, John.
Enjoy.